We are back working on the BMW E46 320d Touring. Now in this video, what are we doing? So we're going to be swapping out the glow plugs and the glow plug module. Before we get into things though, make sure you give this video a like. It really does help me out and it shows your appreciation. Now then, let's lift up the bonnet and see what we're working with. So as you can see, things are still disassembled. I haven't bothered to put all of the trim pieces back when we was doing some investigating to find out the fueling issue on this engine. The car has been up and running now absolutely fine for about 3,000 or 4,000 miles. Yeah, I've done a lot of miles in the past couple of months in this car and I've had no issues since. So yeah, I'm pretty confident we have fixed our issue with it, so I'm going to proceed in doing now some preventative maintenance. Well, I say preventative maintenance, more than likely the glow plugs on this engine are the original. I have got some glow plug error codes, so either one or all of them or the glow plug module itself is kaput. So whenever you are doing this job, it's worth swapping out the glow plugs as well as the module. Now the module itself is not that cheap. They are getting hard to come by now. I think I picked this up for around £100 or so, but we'll leave a link down in the description box below. Now the glow plugs, the genuine Bosch glow plugs, they were provided by a company called Orange Spanner, and these were the best price glow plugs I could find. So again, I will leave a link down in the description box below for those. But yeah, should be a relatively simple and easy job today. I say a relatively simple and easy job if the original glow plugs come out easy enough. Now there are horror stories where people have managed to snap them, but I've done this job about 3 or 4 times now and I've never had a snap one, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen to us today. Now just while I get this front engine cover out of the way, you'll probably notice that the engine is in fact running, and that is because whenever you are tackling glow plugs, it's always easier on a warm engine. So get the engine as warm as possible and the glow plugs tend to come out a hell of a lot easier. Okay then, so engine should be nice and warm now. Let's get cracking. Now to access the glow plugs, intake manifold's got to come out of the way, so it's just the 10mm bolts along the top, 11mm nuts. Disconnect the intake hose here, disconnect the EGR valve from the EGR cooler piping, and then it's just some vacuum hoses and a couple of electrical connectors on the bottom. Oh, there should also be a bolt that holds the dipstick tube in place, but as you can see that's also loose. Like I said, I didn't bother putting all of the trim pieces back because I knew I'd only have to remove them all once again. There we are then, that's the intake manifold now removed. Now you probably notice we already have swivel flap blanks in place on this, so no need to do that job. I would recommend doing it on the M47 engine, which is what this is. Now at the same time as doing the glow plugs and glow plug module, I'm also going to give this intake manifold a bit of a clean out. It's not as bad as I have seen them. This has obviously had a clean at some point in the past, probably when it had the swivel flap blanks done, but yeah, I'm going to give this a good clean, as well as the EGR valve as well. But while we have some heat in the engine, let's get on with the glow plugs. Of course, just remove the connectors. Tabs are squeezed together and they pull off. And this should require a 10mm deep socket, yeah, which I like to attach to a torque wrench. And just go nice and slow. Okay, fairly confident they're all loose now, so I'll just get a ratchet on them. And this is the first glow plug removed. And as you can see, there's all 4 of them removed, and all in one piece. None of them snapped, nothing left in the head. Before we get the new glow plugs in, I'm just going to give this area a bit of a clean up. Looks like we have a lot of oil around this area, and I think I'm actually going to give the intake ports a bit of a clean as well, so probably just spray some brake cleaner down there, and because we have no compression, we're absolutely fine to just spin the engine over, and yeah, any brake cleaner that does find its way down into the combustion chamber will of course just fly out of the glow plug holes. As you can see, those intake ports are now virtually spotless. Of course, only do this once you have removed the glow plugs, otherwise you'll end up hydro-locking your engine with that amount of brake cleaner down there. Okay, so I've also went ahead and removed the glow plug module. Now I decided to do it from above. I didn't fancy getting underneath the car this time. Now it is a little bit difficult to access. There's quite a few things that you may want to move out of the way, so I've disconnected pretty much all of the coolant hoses. So there's this one here, there's this upper radiator hose, then there is also a hose that goes on to the oil cooler. Just move those out of the way, and it gave me good access to get onto the module itself. There is 2 connectors, this smaller one here and this larger one where you have to push in the 2 clips and it just prizes off. Now this has been replaced in the past at some point, and I'm guessing it's when the glow plugs were replaced. So after checking them, these are in fact Beru glow plugs. Now they should be Bosch from factory, and looking at the glow plug module, this is a Hitachi one, which are just not as good as the factory units, which are Beru. So yeah, this is the second time the glow plugs and the glow plug module has been replaced, and we're on about 165,000 miles, so it's probably about right, to be fair. But yeah, let's go ahead, let's get the new module in place. We can start putting everything back in place, and yeah, then we can get the new glow plugs then. So then, I've been busy. The new glow plug module is in place. All 4 new glow plugs are also in place. As you can see, Just there, nice shiny new glow plugs. I need to reinstall the intake manifold. As you can see, all of the coolant hoses there all now plumb back in. Oh, also done an oil change. As you can see, the car is up in the air. I removed the under trays because I wanted to give them a bit of a clean. They was covered in oil and whatever other crap as well at the same time. Of course, cleaned out the EGR valve. It's nice and shiny now. And the intake manifold. I'm going to be leaving the under trays off though, because in a couple of days I have to replace the front suspension arms. I have all new front suspension arms to go on, so yeah, I'll just leave them off for a couple of days. No point reinstalling them and then removing them again. If you're wondering which oil filter I use this Bosch one. When it comes to oil filters, I only tend to use Bosch, Marley or MAN. This is the old one. No idea the brand of it, but doesn't look in too bad of shape. But yeah, pretty pleased with how things are looking at the moment. As you can see, intake ports are pretty much spotless, and this is a diesel engine, let's remember, that has covered 165,000 miles, so yeah, pretty pleased with that, to be honest. But yeah, just need to get the intake manifold reassembled, get it back on, get this car back on the ground, top the oil up to the maximum, and then we can get this engine fired up. Okay then, so as you can see, intake manifold back in place, intake hose plumb back in, everything else buttoned up as well. Of course, I'm going to leave the engine covers, the backing plate and all that. I'm going to leave that off. Like I said, I have some more work to do. I'm going to be replacing the exhaust downpipe, so yeah, it's only going to mean having to remove it again. But I've also topped up the oil, had to add about another ½ litre, and I've also bled the cooling system as well, had to add about another litre or so. But as you can see, that's now showing at the max, so the cap can go back on. But yeah, that's just now pretty much done for today. Okay then, so there we go, another job done on the BMW E46, and yeah, the car seems to start a lot better now. It didn't really struggle to start as such, but it did start a little bit rough, and that's because if the glow plugs are not working, then you don't have the instant heat in the cylinders, so you're not going to have a complete burn when the engine is cold. So yeah, if you haven't already done so and your car is over 100,000 miles or so, I'd recommend swapping out the glow plugs and the glow plug module. It's a lot easier to do it before they fail, because chances are once they have failed, you know, it's a guessing game whether or not they're going to be stuck in with carbon, or you know, if you're going to end up snapping them or whatever. But yeah, good luck if they have already failed and you are replacing them. In my opinion, you should just replace them as preventive maintenance. Replace the glow plugs along with the module, because they do fail. And you know, I've heard of people just replacing out the glow plugs when it's actually the module that's failed. So just replace out both at the same time. Like I said, links to both for the M47 engine will be down in the description box below. Also, intake manifold, you know, while you have it off, just give it a good clean out. Your engine will thank you for it, and we may or may not have gained a few more ponies back after getting rid of all that carbon from there. And yeah, of course, EGR valve, that's been cleaned as well. Oil change, oil filter. What else? We've bled the cooling system just to get any air out of there, and topped it up. And yeah, like I said, another job done. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in that next one.